When I started working with latex, I watched the few videos that are out there on the internet on how to work with latex. And I wanted to show you how they go about it and why I think those videos are not particularly helpful. I think they're misleading or just don't include enough information to actually help you make a garment. It shows you the basic idea of how to assemble something, but doesn't go beyond and really show you how you'd go about applying that to garment making. So they always have these two little rectangles. I don't know what garments are this size, but this is what they do. Two rectangles, so both of those are the shiny side up at the moment. So one of them needs to be the matte side, because once we lay one on top of the other, we want both shiny sides up. So the glue needs to be on the underside of one of them. The first thing before we do any gluing is to clean. Any talc on the latex or other dirt or dust, anything is going to get in the way of a clean bond. So I've put on my glove, just on the hand that I'm going to be pouring the thinner. Hold my cotton and just tip a little bit out onto my cotton wool. So then I clean one side. As you can see, this one has curled more than this one because I went over it twice. You can see a little bit of residue of talc and other dirtiness. Sometimes I get a little bit of color. You can see a little bit of, this is plum, so there's a slight red tinge on there, not a huge amount, but just some of it comes off. Some of the pigment might come off. That's not anything to be alarmed of. So the less thinner, the less it will curl. You need enough thinner to properly clean the area, but you don't need to go crazy. And what I've done is, just in the time that I've been talking, enough of the thinner has evaporated that this will now lay flat. They then use the credit card method and apply glue off the edge of the piece of latex. I'm not even going to go about doing it this way because I find it makes a complete mess. It has there's no regulation of how far over. You could be putting your card, 2 centimeters over, you could be doing it 3/4 of a centimeter, all of these kinds of things. I don't find this method helpful at all, but that's often what they show. The other thing is that they orient the pieces vertically in relation to the maker. I think they do this because it's easier for the viewer to see what's happening. Unfortunately, this is very problematic when you go about trying to assemble anything other than this size. Because if I've got a long dress, the farther my arm goes away from me, the less control I have over my arm. I'm going to be more controlled when it's more underneath me. But for argument's sake, we shall continue with the demonstration. So I'm just applying the glue using my 1 centimeter spreader. So I'm going along using the edge of the latex as my guide, my 1 centimeter guide, and I'm creating a line of glue. Then they show doing the exact same thing on the other side. Now that I have my 2 pieces with glue on it, just waiting for it to slightly uncurl. This has gotten stuck to the table ever so slightly. Happens. They then lift this piece with the glue, manhandle it, get it into alignment. God, I'm even rubbish at trying to do it how they do it. And place it down. I'm practiced at assembling latex, and even I find that difficult to do. And then they roll the seam. I can even see that I've poorly assembled this because it's kind of bubbling here. It's not laying completely flat. So as I've gone to put it down, I've stretched it. This shouldn't, see how I can, if I'm smoothing this out, it's creating a ridge because it's not completely flat. I've done this purely just to show you what not to do. As you're moving away from your body, you have less control over your arms. So aside from the fact that it's very difficult to lay something down smoothly and in a controlled fashion as you're working away from your body, we've also put glue on both sides, and it makes it difficult to cover all the glue. So as I've assembled this, I've ended up, there we go, I can see it in there, with a tiny bit of glue showing on the outside of my garment, which is not the most attractive. There's also a tiny little air bubble. We're just not going to worry about it. This is just an example.